Martez Reed, welcome to Day 2 Cloud. And let's start out. In the intro, I mentioned you're the director of technical marketing at Morpheus. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say most folks listening aren't going to know what that means. So let's start there. What is technical marketing?
Yeah, so technical marketing for me, the way I think of it is sort of the technical piece of marketing. Kind of, you put the two together, you get technical marketing. But from the standpoint of a software vendor, so Morpheus Data is a software vendor, and so you've got the sort of the traditional marketing of like, what is your product, kind of how would people use it, how would they get value. And then from the practitioner perspective, you go into the sort of deeper in the weeds of like, yes, you told me what it is, but like, how does that work? How does that actually relate to me from a technical standpoint? And so that's what my job is focused on, is how do I take that, what is Morpheus Data, and then really translate it to, yeah, I heard what you are. You fit into this category or that category, but what do you actually do from a technical standpoint? And how can I actually make use of that in my organization?
Right. So you're not writing the ad copy on the website. You're
Nah,
okay.
I mean, I'm not delving into the buzzwords and all those things. I'm more so, okay, as a practitioner, what's the value of this to you? And so for me, it's a different audience. Typically, the way I think
Right.
of the delineation is marketing is more focused on the CEO, CIO, some of the IT director. And then for me, technical marketing is more focused on the enterprise architect, the practitioner, the engineers, those that are deeper in the weeds, for them to understand how the integration actually plays and be able to tie the two together to be able to tell that full story. Because as a practitioner, oftentimes you go to a company's website, you see the marketing fluff, and it's like, I hear and see all these buzzwords, like, what does that even mean? And so like, I need somebody to translate that for me. So effectively,
Right.
hopefully I'm that translator.
Okay, so you a translator. So does that put you in the role of like educator? Well, let me back up a second. When you hear the word marketing as an engineer, instantly we all get skeptical and like, marketing, boo, because a lot of marketing language is really fluffy and doesn't mean anything. But as a technical marketing person, you're talking to engineers for purposes of really helping them understand what it is that they're evaluating.
Yeah, and so that's the way I take it. Is my job is technical education in a sense, to be able to provide the content for the technical practitioner to understand how our product actually works. Oftentimes, you might go to a vendor and they'll tell you in no uncertain terms, they're trying to sell you a pipe dream of what their product says it's supposed to do. And oftentimes you have to dig and dig and dig to figure out like, okay, does it actually do what they're trying to sell me? And hopefully for me, that goal is I'm going to give you what we do. What we don't do is not included in there. I'm not going to try to sell you something that we don't do. I'm going to convey the value of the things that we do.
Okay. And I know you come from very technical background. We were talking about this, but before the show kicked off, you started working in consulting, and I'm sure you started doing something even before that. But when I met you, you were already in the world of consulting, and then you moved to Puppet. Was that correct?
Yep, moved to Puppet, where I was actually at Puppet doing technical education. And so
Okay.
it's right in my wheelhouse. I'm an individual that loves to share the knowledge that I have, as well as to help individuals learn technology in the sort of the broader IT ecosystem.
Right. I think one of my concerns would be moving from a technical practitioner focused role like consulting to something like technical marketing. Suddenly I'm moving away from the keyboard. I'm going to start losing my technical chops. Are you concerned about that? Do you think that'll be the case, or is this the sort of situation where you're still very immersed?
So I'm not overly concerned about that. Even as I got sort of later in my career of consulting, it was obviously still very hands-on, but a lot of it was also sort of the architect discussions with customers. You're sitting, you're whiteboarding, you doing all those things that aren't you actually physically touching the keys. And in some situations, it is often that more than actually hands-on keyboard is how can I best enable the customer to roll out this solution, enable them from a capability standpoint, and not always hands-on keyboard. The other thing for me becomes I'm always going to have to be hands-on keyboard in some way, especially in technical marketing, to really, in my opinion, relate to the practitioner of it's hard for me to showcase you a solution or a capability that I've never gotten my hands on and touched, because to me at that point it feels unauthentic to say, you know, hey, this is what the solution does, this is what the capability is, and I've never touched it. And the moment you get past that surface conversation, it's like, well, how does this work? How do these two things integrate? And it's like, well, I don't really know. It's in the docs type of answer. And I never want to give that answer. I always want to feel confident in terms of what the capability is of a solution.
Right, right. Now, one comparison that I've heard before of technical marketing is comparing it to something like developer advocates, or what used to be called technical evangelists, though I think no one's using that term anymore. At least it's been deprecated, if you will. How would you compare and contrast technical marketing to someone who's in a developer advocate role?
Yeah, so I mean, in a lot of ways, they're similar. Depending upon the organization, they're slightly different. Oftentimes, developer advocate is more community focused. Of I'm kind of in the trenches with the community itself, of those that are actually using the product. Oftentimes, it's more so related to like open source companies that have an enterprise sort of paid product, and the developer advocate is touching those that are handling or working with the open source version. Whereas often
Okay.
on the technical marketing side, it's we have to educate our customers on the thing that pays the bills. And so we have to have resources there. So it's oftentimes it's that delineation between the two.